Watch this movie. 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 Good. Sorry, I just know that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is going to sweep the box office this weekend. As far as I know when I'm writing this review. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in the future. But probably not. And while I did see this movie the day after, the movie is something I 100% recommend to anyone that's old enough to go see on the big screen. And I mean the big screen. Because, one, if this does well at the box office, this shows people actually like to support fantastic ideas that make great cinematic art that is also actually new and original. And the other reason being, because it's that good, you should watch the movie. Watch the movie! Okay? If you didn't see the trailer, the movie is from A24, one of, if not my favorite film series, with plenty of movies I want to see but haven't yet. But I did love films under their belt, like The Green Knight, Moonlight, The Disaster Artist, Uncut Gems, my favorite film of all time, The Lighthouse, and my second favorite film of the year so far, X, behind this movie. This movie is also directed and written by Daniel Scheinert and Dan Kwan, a duo called Daniels, who directed the music video for Turn Down For What and the movie Swiss Army Man. Okay, maybe this isn't a selling point, but since it didn't say in the marketing, at least as far as I know, it was produced by the directors of Avengers Endgame, the Russo brothers. So nonetheless, watch the movie because thank you, Daniels, for making this movie, along with the cast and crew and everyone else involved. It seems I won't shut up about praising the film, so before I go into any details, I'll just say this movie literally has it all. It has drama, action, comedy, and a true, bizarre, surreal execution. See this movie on the big screen because if this does well, it shows we can have more movies like this. And if you think you could just wait to watch this on streaming, the theatrical experience will make you glad you see it on the big screen. If my praise doesn't seem justified yet, I'll go into more detail. So the movie is about the multiverse. It's definitely multiverse craze ever since Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse and Rick and Morty. And now there are so many shows and movies trying to take advantage of the concept. Loki, Doctor Strange 2, The Flash movie. Okay, maybe mostly superhero stuff, but I wanted an original story from the ground up to do its take on the multiverse. And after seeing the trailer, I was interested, though cautious since I loved A24, but I don't think, or at least know, any other time they made an action movie. Even The Green Knight, I would, say it's definitely an adventure movie, but I would say it's a bit of a stretch if I called it an action film. But it definitely feels like an A24 action movie, once I saw it. So what is the story? Well, the movie stars Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn Wang, a Chinese-American woman who left China to be with her love and later husband Waymond, played by Ke Huy Quan in America, where they run a laundromat and raise their daughter Joy, played by Stephanie Hsu. But their present isn't great. Evelyn's being audited by the IRS. Her traditionalist father, played by James Hong, arrives from China, and she's worried since Joy is in a relationship with a woman named Becky, played by Tallie Medel, and even worse is yet to come. But this is the choices she made to get here, and there's nothing she can do about it. Or is there? While they go to an IRS building to talk to an auditor, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, Evelyn is talked to by Waymond, but not her Waymond, a Waymond from a different universe. I like in this movie how usually in shows and movies people are in different dimensions, there's different versions of yourself as a separate entity, but here you are in that person's body. It's not as impressive as it sounds, but anyways, Waymond from the other universe tells Evelyn first vague advice about something bad is coming, and he explains to her the ideas of verse shopping. It's probably what it sounds like, jumping into different bodies. But also not at the same time. You are kind of both people, but the traits you gain from the other version of yourself can be acquired, which is both creative and smartly written around the main character. She soon learns and discovers the person behind what might seem like the bringer of end times, and she must team up with the other Waymond to go across different dimensions to stop it from destroying literally everything. But there's still so much more. See this movie, please! First off, the casting is perfect. I forgot how awesome Michelle Yeoh is in movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or Shang-Chi, and I will never forget her name again. I hope she gets nominated for an Oscar in this movie. I'm not saying this is like the best acting I've seen in an action movie, but there's something how since I forgot how she was already an action star, she plays this middle-aged, pathetic person, also being all these different versions of herself, both feeling like both the same person and not at the same time. That's a hard thing to pull off, but I bought it 100%. I love Ke Huy Quan too, which if you didn't know, he was Short Round from Temple of Doom, and I hope he does more acting again after this. James Hong is also one of those actors to me that's no matter what he's in, he's awesome. I didn't even know he was going to be in this, so despite how this character might seem at first, I smiled when I saw him on the screen. I could keep going on, but the same can be said for everyone else. Stephanie Hsu, Jamie Lee Curtis, and even the minor characters. It truly feels like this is a reality at first that well, is regular reality. I don't know how else to put it. But it's just one reality where suddenly people who have skills they wouldn't are suddenly experts at fighting in ridiculous manners. Like, one of the first fights is with a fanny pack. And I never thought using a fanny pack would be cool, but they made it cool with the cinematography and choreography. And that's just the start. It only goes up from there. Each action sequence tops the previous one, so it never feels like it's lesser as the movie goes on. And I loved each action sequence. But it's not just the action that's good, it's the story. I already praised the cast and characters, which is good since a story like this needs characters to care about. You know, ones that aren't flawless but relatable, likable, and memorable. The reason why this Evelyn is the one considered to be the one to save the multiverse is both cruel but voracious at the same time, where you laugh but you feel bad too. I love how the theater was roaring with laughter with every scene because this movie is hilarious. Every line works to make the audience laugh because I was there. It did make everyone who was at the theater with me laugh too. The story is ridiculous, and I mean so absurd and surreal it shouldn't work for me to actually take it seriously. But even with the lines that make me laugh, I was still interested in the drama, since I did like this troubling family Evelyn wants to save, but she sees versions of herself as she never had a family. It's easy for her to suddenly rethink everything she knows. She sees so many more versions of herself who have lived their lives more successfully or fulfilling, and without spoiling anything, the way it's told and how the way they show of what it does to this character, it's really fascinating just as a drama. It's hilarious as a comedy, and the action is so amazing and ridiculous. I can still take this story seriously, which is saying something because once this movie was done, me and my father left the theater and it took an hour for us to calm down from so much surrealness given to us. I went with him to see this movie, and he told me afterwards this is one of the best movies he's seen in years, so that's saying something, I guess. Unless you never met my dad, so I guess that maybe sound weird out of context. But it means something. I'm so glad I watched this on the big screen. The theatrical experience is worth it, and I hope people can find the biggest crowds to see it with to laugh alongside them, but still be interested in the story as much as I was. I thought it would be predictable, but what was predictable knows it's predictable, and what isn't predictable, I would never think of myself. There are so many little things I won't see the same again. Like, I never liked hot dogs, but I really will never see a hot dog again without thinking of this movie. The dialogue is great, where it's fine because the characters say stuff it feels like that character would say. Like, if a character says something ridiculous, the movie doesn't feel self-aware. I mean, it kind of is, because, you know, it is the multiverse, you know, and I feel like that's a given. It just feels like the character would point it out. I really don't want to stretch out how ridiculous this movie is without spoilers. There are lines that feel throwaway that are shocking how they come into the story. How each different version of Evelyn has different skills that change this version of her, where once again it feels like each version of her is a different person. I even love one scene where she's just a rock. Like, it's just a scene with her and another character as rocks. Like, it's just a shot of two rocks and they just have X on screen with no voiceover, and I still believed the two rocks were the characters the movie tells me they were. It makes that even work. I don't have a single problem with the movie. Maybe I could see some people not liking it if it does feel like a bit much. But expect that going in, since this movie really does live up to its title, Everything Everywhere all at once. Like, it truly makes it feel like there are endless possibilities. But what's present in the story is smartly interwoven, characters are fascinating and interesting, the action never stops being exhilarating, every single joke works, and despite a 2 hour and 20 minute running time, it never stops feeling like a good time. Maybe watching it at home won't be the same as in theaters, so see this movie! Please watch this movie. Maybe there are problems with it. I don't know. I don't care. This is the best film I've seen this decade so far. I hope that says something. I give Everything Everywhere All at Once a 10 out of 10.